Hello everybody, welcome back to Sprueverse, my scale model universe. People of Earth, welcome to another update of Build the 1350 Refit Redo. That's right, on the bench. Very impressive, right? Considering, well, if you go back in time to last year, all the way through to April of this year and then now here, I've been on this close to a year. But hey, I'm excited. We're getting a lot done. Okay, in this part 4, as promised, I'm on the saucer. Lot to get into here, so I want to talk about what I'm doing. In my previous attempt at this, I left the windows out. I left them out, and I was under the impression, based on a whole bunch of tips that I'd gotten from other videos, that that's the best way to do it, and then everything's clean, and then you can put your windows at the end. If you're using microcrystal clear, if you're using SolarRes, or if you're using, you know, the laser cut windows. But I say nay. I say that is not how I'm doing this one. I'm putting my windows on, I'm going to get loose masks on, and I'm going to go to town, because I found that too much paint got through those windows, and it definitely dusted my my strip light, which definitely hurt my lighting effect for my saucer, which was one of the things that I didn't like on my list of things to do with the saucer. So we're not doing that this time. We're putting the windows in. Now, big decision. I'm not putting in a rec deck. I'm just not. I don't think there's a lot of value there for me personally. That's my opinion. If you want to put a rec deck in, go for it. There's so many super talented people out there who have done this model and put rec decks in. But I've discovered with my vision, even with a microscope, a flashlight, and a lot of hope, you don't see anything. To me personally, it's not worth it. Now, what I have done, and what you can do, is in Paul's photo etch set from Paragraphics, he does give you silhouettes of people. You can certainly put silhouettes in the windows, and I think that would work great. What I have done is I have used my crystal clear SolarRes for the windows, and I've used a very thin piece of stock plastic card behind it to diffuse them, and this is the look you get. So there is my rec deck. My windows are in, and if I hit the light behind it, sorry, I'll try not to blind everybody. Look at that. You get this lovely crisp diffused lighting effect. All the lights are on, and super happy with that. So that's the way I went. For the officer's lounge, you see everything. So what I've done is in this case, I have used my laser cut acrylic glass. I've polished it, and I've made it perfectly. I've contoured it. You can do that with this acrylic, and then you go through your various different stages of grit, all the way up to 5,000, and it comes back crystal clear. And then I hit it with just a little bit of my acrylic glass cleaner, and that it's beautiful. And so that's in, and it's drying now. And when you put the rec deck behind it, it really looks good. But let me show you the glass in, because I think it's very impressive. So here it is, close up, right? And if I put my finger behind it, you can see. Well, no, you can't see anything. Let me get the flashlight on. I don't want to blind anybody. But you can see in there absolutely perfectly. Now I've got to clean that up, obviously, and I will do that once it's in. But my point is that when you get your rec deck in there, not your rec deck, what am I saying? Your officer's lounge in there, and you turn this over. Now I've got no way to get any light in there. No, I've got no way to get any light in there yet. But let me do this. Let me... there. Look at that. You can see a little bit, but I promise you, you can see a whole lot more. It's going to be fantastic. So that's the way to go. And that's what I'm doing. And speaking of officers' lounges, speaking of them, just push that down. This is the officers' lounge from Green Strawberry. The reason why I am endorsing this one over every other one is because the way it is cut, and we've seen this before. I've showed you this before, but the way this is cut and the way it's tabbed in the back, it sits perfectly in this and flush to the bottom of the saucer. Fits perfectly, and so that's why I'm going with that one, and I'm recommending that one. I think it's the way to go. The next thing to do now is to look at the lighting setup overall. I want to show you something. I want to go back to this. This is the Trek Modeler photo of their lighting setup for the pre-built bundle, right? But what's curious about this is it's recommending your LED strip light on both sides, a long one along the front, two small ones in the middle that are supposed to light up your AB deck. What you don't see here is there's your strobe and your flood for the registration, your Raytheon, your flood for your registration. And then up here, you've got your warp drive lights. You've got two whites at the back for nav, white nav lights, your thrusters, your yellow thrusters, and your green and your red nav, okay? And what isn't in here yet is your impulse crystal. And we've got a setup for that, which I'll show you in a little bit. But that's what they've got. That's what they've got. That's what I did, right? Because I used this. Well, my complaint to myself was, it wasn't, yeah, you don't want this kind of sort of blurring at you, pins of light. It doesn't look realistic. You want a nice warm light, diffuse, just like I'm going to get in my rec deck. You want that all over. You really want it to feel like you're getting a really nice coverage with your light. By not putting my windows in right away, which was a mistake, you should put your windows in and then mask them. I've got loose masks, so I'm going to mask them with loose masks. Get your windows in. I don't care what anybody says. In my opinion, if you don't put those masks in, you run the risk of so much paint getting through those windows that it will, over time, start to affect, I think, your strips. Paint will settle on them and it'll start to dull them down. That's what happened to me. So, and you get so much gunge in your windows that it just doesn't pay off. I think personally you got to get your windows in. Again, these are all my opinions. That's all. If you want to follow any of my advice, which is marginal at best, that's what I'm doing. And then for light, Ralph gives you 23 miles of strip. Now, he gives you plenty of your strip. Now, this is all pre-resisted, so it doesn't need to be resisted. But I think it's a mistake to do one long strip like that. I think, first of all, if you look at the sides here, you've only got windows here and windows here. So all this light is wasted. It's completely wasted. You don't get to see it. You don't get any use out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these and I'm going to put them up close to my windows all the way around. I'm going to stick them down and then I'm going to, in parallel, join everything together. That's how I'm going to do it. And then if you look on your instructions here, of course you've got to be on the right page. Saucer interior lighting, here it is. Let me get you closer. So here's your, so it's on connector 3, okay? Actually, this is A series, so it's still going to be on 3, but I want it to be on B series. So bear with me for a second here, where I get us to the right page. B3, here we go. Okay. I just want to keep consistent. Okay, so here's your saucer lighting. So it gives you, essentially, it gives you 1, 2, 3, 4 strips. It gives you 4 strips, 4 long strips. But you don't need to do that. You can actually, I've got, if I count my windows, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8. So I'm gonna cut my 4 into 8. It'll be perfectly fine. They'll all be in parallel, and everything will be fine. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get my light a lot closer to my windows. So that's my plan. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get all my windows in, and then we'll start talking about laying down our tape, because we'll go through, I'm going to go through every layer of lighting the saucer, every layer. Okay, so you'll see what I'm doing, and it will correspond to Ralph's directions. Now, where I'm augmenting or adding, as long as I am hooking into the correct connection, and I'm only adding 1 or 2 lights here or there, so it's no problem. But you have to sort of figure out which connector you want to be in, right? Because do you want to be in startup mode and have that light come on? Do you want it to just be saucer only, nav only? I mean, where do you want that to come on? So you do have to track it to the right connector, but I'm not having any difficulty doing that. So I just have to make sure that I've got enough light for my all my windows, my AB deck, my bridge, and of course, you know, I've got my navs and my side lights and my thrusters. It's all got to go in, and then where I can get those wires down to 1 or 2 connections, depending on where they're going, because that's the bundle that's going to come out of the saucer through the neck and into this bad boy. So and it has to be fed through. Try saying that fast 4 times. This neck piece here. This neck piece here, right? So that bundle is going to come. It's going to come through here, and so yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of lay this down over my top here, and what you'll notice is that my bundle will drop through right in front of my deflector dish housing in the front. Perfect. It's perfect. So that is really good. Okay, so I'm humming along here. I'm going to figure out where my light is going for my officer's lounge, where it's going to go. I have to figure that out, but I want plenty of light, so I'll make sure it does have plenty of light. And then I'll bring you back after I've put my windows in and we're starting to lay down our tape, so you can see step by step how you light this saucer. Okay, here we go. Okay, wanted to pop back in for just a second here because I didn't want to miss out on this detail, because I think it's very important. So what I've got here is I've got the 12 volt LED strip, and you know, they come in different sizes and widths and depths. I like this one because you can cut it off every third SMD, and you can get it into tight spaces, and it's nice and bright. I've got it on these wires, and everything is perfect. And this lights up here. So what I wanted to show you is that when we put in the rec deck, that just drops in, and I'm going to use a little bit of tape here just to hold that in place while we do this sort of show and tell. Flip it over so that you can see it there. Get my battery, and I'm going to let me do this. I think that there's actually a more efficient way to do this. Sorry, I'm not super prepped. Sometimes I don't think about it, but that's okay. We're on the bench, right? We're working, so that's a good thing. All right, let me get this up to 9 volts. I had it down to 3 to test my other stuff. Okay, so that is on. Let me get myself plugged in here, and then we'll be able to show you this on camera a lot more efficiently. Okay, so that is on, and look at that for a result. Isn't that fantastic? I mean, super crystal clear. So imagine everything's white, lit, and it's in the dark, and you're doing a pan over this thing, and you can see into your officer's lounge. So it's just absolutely fantastic. Now, could you put people in there? It's not a bad idea. I have to tell you, I think I might have a couple. I think that might be worth it. I think that might be worth it. We'll take a look. But anyway, I wanted to share this with you because I'm super excited. It works beautifully, and you can see in here. You can see everything, and I just really like the way it looks. Very expansive. And lots of detail, and when you look in and you look back, you can see all the way back. So putting a couple of people in there might not be a bad idea. I'm going to see what I've got. Okay, so just wanted to punch in for that. We'll come back in just a second when I'm prepped to carry on with the rest of the saucer. I'm putting windows in. And I know previously I said I'll come back when the windows are in, but some of you will have these laser fire windows, these little acrylic windows. Some of them, and what I'm doing is I'm actually using Testa's clear cement for clear parts. And what I'm doing is I'm just pushing it in the window holes with a little painting stick. And then there is an interesting kind of phenomenon to these, and it was pointed out to me, actually. I can't take credit for this. It was pointed out to me by one of my subscribers that these little parts are conical, believe it or not. And so when you go to put them in the window, you put obviously you put the smaller side in first. Yeah, because I want to do this on camera. It's not cooperating. I've been doing it all afternoon, no problem. Turn the camera on to show you, and then I want to go in. Now, when it doesn't want to do that, you just simply clean out the hole a little bit. I found you actually don't have to. I found that it's actually fine, but because life doesn't work that way, I'm just putting a little more in. And obviously I'm taking off the back end so that when I push the window through, I don't have to worry about the other end. And there you go. That's in nice and flush. I'll show you that up close. And there they are. Oh, come on, focus. There you go. Those are the ones that are in. It's going quite well. You do have extras in case you do what I do, which is flick half of them across the room because they're very tiny. But I find that once you get into a rhythm, you know, it goes pretty quickly. Did you see that? I hope you saw that. I can't do a replay, but that's an example of I haven't done that all afternoon. Literally, it just decided it was going to spring off my tweezers. Yeah. All right. I'm not going to continue to curse myself like this. You get the idea. But it's really annoying when you spend all afternoon doing something and then you go, oh, you know what? I'm going to turn on the camera. There we go. Now they're sliding in. I'm going to turn on the camera and show everybody and talk about it. But anyway, windows are almost in. Windows are almost in. And then we can talk about a few things. I showed you the officer's lounge. That's all in and ready to go. Oh, I did put a few men in the officer's lounge, you know, just to give you some scale, and I think that works. So you'll see those, and I got to admit, for someone who's just bloviates about how I don't like characters in my, little characters in my model because they just look goofy, I'm embarrassed to say that I'm wrong here. They look pretty cool. They really give you a nice sense of scale, at least for that window. So definitely glad I did that. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna plow on with these. Small side in, conical side in. They go on the tweezers, and then they go into the portholes, and they go nice and flush. And remember, you've got one side that is already masked because they've got that little piece of brown paper on them. If that falls off, and you'll double check, obviously, you've got plenty of loose masks to help you along. I've just got one more window to do, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about, continue the lighting conversation. That's, of course, if I don't destroy my model. Stick around. So we're on the saucer, and I am in the process of just labeling the strobe. I've just put in a 3 mil white LED in the bridge for the strobe that appears in the back of the bridge. So far, everything's going quite well. I ended up, interestingly enough, on a phone call yesterday with Ralph over at Tenacontrols, and I'll share that with you in just a minute. I'm obviously still using my printer. I love my printer. For those of you who've just tuning into this episode and don't know what's going on, we're building the 1350, right? Redo. This is the Polar Lights 1350. We're building it as from the motion picture, although canon, I don't know. I'm that word scares me. I don't try to make things canon, but I am trying as the best I can to improve on my first version, obviously, and just get it better. Okay. Anyway, the printer is my little Nimbot, and you can get it on Amazon. It's $25, $20. It's a great little printer, and it prints out these wonderful little labels. So here's one here, and what I do is I just I make notes on my labels of where this goes to C3 green, which corresponds to on my board here. Here is C3 right here, and there is my green. There's my green wire. So I know that my negative on this is going to go here to work the effect, which is the strobe. And so methodically, you just sort of, you chip away at it. So this is looking really good. I am using the green strawberry bridge. This is the version where you can, if you want to, you can actually have your bridge come off so you can see inside and you can light the whole interior, which is absolutely fantastic. I won't be doing that, but the reason why I'm using this one is because when you put the whole thing together, boy, do you get a crisp result. So you're able to put the bridge detail in like this, and you get this just massively crisp result. So I can paint this without the dome in, and then I can install the dome, and you just get this beautifully crisp result. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for some crispness in my finishes. So I'm super happy with that. So that's working really well. Also, the detail and the definition on this green strawberry, far superior to any of the Shapeways pieces I've found, and certainly more accurate than the bridge. And it's got these wonderful, here I'll show you, it's got these wonderful raised pieces, as they should be, obviously, so that we can get our light forward. But there's little grill marks here that you can see just in the corners, and they are spectacular. And my grid lines are really deep and crisp, so I can put a little bit of panel liner in there and soften that back. The back, you use a little piece of photo etch that comes with it. Super crisp, super crisp. I'm very happy with that, and it blends beautifully into the bridge. So I'm using the green strawberry version, and I'm super happy with it. So speaking of bridges, we are on the bridge. We said we'd talk about the bridge. We are talking about the bridge. And here, well, not the bridge, the saucer. Sorry, this is early in the morning for this little portion here. Even though I'm wearing the same shirt, I've bought many of them because, as you all know, every single penny of profit from these shirts is going to Parkinson's, to help find a cure for Parkinson's. We support my dear friend Wayne Green, myself, and obviously the great Lou Dalmiso over at Aztec Dummy. Our shirts, cups, and of course Wayne's shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of things are available on his store. So there are links all over the place for his store. Please check it out. Please support us because it's all going to a great cause. Okay, so here is our saucer underway, and I've made some pretty good strides. Okay, so let me tell you what we've got here so far, and I will endeavor to sort of explain what we're doing. Okay. All my windows are in. I've used my laser fire creation windows, acrylic windows. We've talked about those 1,000 times. I have chosen to break up my LED strips into smaller pieces and put them much closer to the windows. Now, this is all in sequence, and I can show you this. I can fire this up for you, so that you can see what we're doing. I'm very, very, very happy with this. I really like the way this is turning out. And of course, as we know, we're just going to have less trouble when we go to connect all of our wires in our secondary hull. They're going to come out obviously they're going to come out the front of the secondary hull where the deflector dish is, and I'm going to be able to make all my connections there, and then everything else is in the board in the base, so we should be good to go. Okay, so firing these up. Let's see here. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. What's going on? Let's see here. We don't have a connection. Hang on. Let's get a connection. Ba-bum, ba-bum. Flood. I'm on the wrong wire. It would help if I get you on the right wire. That would help. Here they are. You would think I would read my own directions, right? Okay. Wasn't quite ready for you yet, so let me get ready for you. Okay, there we go. Now we're ready. Now we're going to cook with gas. Okay, and now you're not going to be able to see it yet because I've taped it all up, but my officer's lounge is beautifully lit with some of the same strip lighting that I've used here. Super punchy, super punchy. I'm very, very happy with it. Everything is nice and bright. Everything is glued down with little daubs of CA just to make sure this, because the stickiness on this tape is questionable. This is a brand new setup for me because, as I discussed earlier, in my first attempt to do this kit, I had my strip lighting back away from the windows, thinking that that was going to be fine. Well, it wasn't fine because ultimately I hadn't got my windows in. I was spraying primer and paint through the windows. I don't know, but whatever happened, everything got clogged up and I got very poor visibility on my windows. This way I've got some really good, strong visibility. I've also got a little bit of card here to diffuse. So I'm going to do a test, but if I think that my windows are just too bright, I've got this super thin plastic card which I use for diffusion, and as you can see, I can just lay it over my strips like that, and I will just, as you can see there, I'll just get a really nice a softening effect. I can pull those way back if I need to. So we'll do that. We'll check that as soon as we've before we close everything up. So what do I have to do now? Well, those are the window lights, including the window lights for AB deck. Everything is in as far as lighting windows. That was step one. Step two is I'm going to, well, I've started to, right? I've put in, I've wired up my flood here for, in the back here, I've wired up my flood, and I can show you that, I believe. And this is the flood, obviously, for your registration, right? So let me kill those and fire these up for this up for you, because ultimately what's going to happen, and I'll show you that in just a second. Here's that flood there. You can okay, there's that flood. So the idea here is obviously we're going to lay this down, and we're gonna get the room dark, and we're gonna sort of figure out where that light needs to go in order for us to get that registration, the registration lit up at the front here, right? We may be just slightly gluing it to the top and raising it just a little bit so it points down, but that flood will work quite well. And of course, if you sand this down, which I've started to do, it'll get super punchy. So I'm really happy with that. And this has a special resistor on it that is the brightest resistor you can possibly get So I'm really happy with that. And I can even add a couple more lights, which I may do, just in case I don't get enough punchiness there. But anyway, that's the flood taken care of. And I'm happy with that. Then the next thing we have to do is we've got to get our thrusters in. We've got 4 of those. Those are yellow. I've got those here tested and ready to go. I'm going to put a little bit of fiber optic in the tops of these little holes, because I find that these holes for the thrusters, I'm going to put little fiber optics in, because I find that, oh, there's my printer going off. I find that it helps really focus the light and gets it a lot punchier. So we're going to be doing that. So after I've got my yellow thrusters in, then I've got my white navs. Now there are 3 of those. There's 2 to the rear here by the warp drive at the back here, impulse powered at the back, and then so that's 2 red that I've got. They are not resisted on this board, because they are resisted at the main board, at the motherboard, because that's an effect and they will fade on when you turn them on, and they will fade off. So that's good too, and that is also connected to your deflector dish, which will go from amber to blue when you go to warp drive, and that's obviously connected to your chiller grills as well. So it's all connected beautifully on Ralph's board, the Tenacontrols board. So those effects are going to be really beautiful. However, don't make the stupid mistake I make. I am so, sometimes it baffles me that my brain doesn't kick in, because I am so used to checking my all of my LEDs, but 99 times out of the 10, right, I've got resistors on my LED, so it's no problem. I can hook it up to a 9-volt battery, I can hook it up to my DC transformer, check my power, and I'm good to go. Don't do that with your amber blue. Don't do it with those, and don't do it with any of your lights that are obviously not resisted. You'll blow them in a nanosecond and they're gone. How do I know that? I'll let you figure that. I'll let you figure that out. But trust me, no one's mixing rocket fuel in their tubs over here, folks. Okay, so your yellow thrusters, your warp impulse engines. Excuse me. I've got 2 red ones for those. My white navs I talked about, and that will well, no, I've got my red and green navs. So I've got 4 of those. I've got 2 for the bottom top of the saucer, which I'm working on now, and 2 for the lower saucer, because you obviously are feeding those to different light sources. Okay. I then got my my crystal that has to go in here, right? Right here. Let me move this over for you. Bam. Crystal here. I'm using a kit from Shapeways for that, and I'm also using a piece from a company called Modelworks, WERKS, modelworks.com. Check him out. He's a good guy, and he sells you this thing of beauty. It's just a little piece of plastic. You could probably make it yourself, but I don't want to get into trouble, and I don't want him to lose the business. But he's designed this. Your 5mm goes in there like that, and then it will glue that on, and that will drop in here. That will drop in right there. Obviously, it drops in over your frame for your crystal. It sits in there beautifully, and it's low enough You're not going to cooperate. Anyway, it's low enough that it clears the saucer. I'm not going to have any problems here. And of course, it's instantly light blocked. So that is a absolute plus. Okay, I will let's. I'm going to take a break here, and then I'll continue to update you as we move along. Okay. One other thing I wanted to mention was I am on this particular go round. I'm lighting all three. Well, there's 6 of them, but there's 3 nodules. Now, these are little Shapewear. I've ground down my plates, as you can see, so they're pretty surface flush. And these are my phaser array plates, or little bulbs. They're pre-drilled. They've got a hole in them. They're fantastic, and they come from Shapeways. You get them on a little bundle. They're just little 3D printed. There they are. And I've got them all 3. And what I've done is you can see, I don't think you can see. Let me see if I can get a light behind it so you can see here. Yeah, there they are. So you can see here that those are, do you see those little pins of light? That's actually fantastic. Now, I've got to obviously get everything light blocked, but I'm going to have an effect for those. Now, curiously, this is why I was on the phone with Ralph, because I could see that we've got one phaser array light, but it's a white 3mm, and I'm thinking, self, that doesn't make that doesn't. I don't think that's right. Now there is he supplies that, as he explains, for your one phaser sort of connection in the bottom of the ship, but that that doesn't work for me. Now, obviously that's the phaser that some people are lighting up with a real laser, right? Like, very smart. It's amazing work, but that won't be me. But I did want that effect. Those phasers, when they go off, they're little twinkly yellow lights. They could be red if you wanted them to be. I'm going to use yellow, and they're going to blink very quickly when they turn on. That's what I thought. There's no way to do that with this board. There is a place for it on the Bluetooth controller on your phone, but as Ralph explained to me, it is not programmed. So what I have asked him to do is build a special board just for me. And that board is going to sit by my large board in the base. It's just a small little driver that's going to have its own momentary switch on my base. So when you hit it, you'll be able to fire your phasers. Now, I'm also going to try to hook that up to the sound too. I should be able to figure out how to do that. And I'll work with him to make sure that when that goes off, it triggers the soundboard, and that'll be really cool. But this is completely supplemental. So when it comes in, what I'll do is I will drop the code for it in my I'll drop it in my description so that you'll see it. So if you want to actually get this board, which he's made just for me, you'll be able to get that from Ralph. So just quote the code number on the board, and just drop him an email, and he'll know exactly what you're talking about, and he'll be able to get you out one of those boards. And it'll be exciting to see what that looks like. But I think it's going to add a little bit of super value to this. Okay, so I'm going to get my thrusters in. I'm going to get my my impulse engines. I'm really having a difficult time with the nomenclature this morning. I apologize. Impulse engines in, thrusters in, nav lights in, red, green, and white. And that will, believe it or not. Oh, and then I've got to get my my impulse power crystal, my crystal, my warp drive crystal in as well. and then get that sealed up as well. And that will complete the lighting for the top of the saucer. Then we can go to the bottom of the saucer, and when we get all of that lit, then we can start consolidating all our wires where we can, so that there's the minimum amount of wire that's coming through to the neck and out the front of the ship. Then we can seal this puppy up, and that will take care of the saucer, and then we can move on to the nacelles, and then guess what? This puppy's lit. Now, that sounds like it's all going to happen like that. Now, for you, it probably will, but for me, we're looking at several days and several hours of work. But I'm really feeling good about it, and it's coming together very well. So as long as you're methodical and as long as you keep everything organized and labeled, I think this is going to come together. Now, obviously, I've only tested a couple of things on this board, and they're working. So I tested a photon torpedo the other day. I mentioned that, and I've also I've tested my soundboard as well. But I'll continue to test as I go along. I just want to make sure that I'm getting everything where it needs to be and that we get that dialed in. Okay, so that will conclude the install segment of the top of the saucer. When we come back, we're going to be looking at the bottom of the saucer, and I think that will take care of this update, and we'll probably do nacelles in another update. Okay, so stick around. So all the lights now are in the lower saucer. For the upper saucer, I've just got a couple of white nav lights to go in, and my navigation. Just so it's five lights, but everything, the principle for this is all the same. And I've been hooking up the board as I go. It is a bit of a process, but I'm getting to slowly figure out the sort of where I can bundle things together and where I can't. A couple of interesting things I've got to work out that I wanted to share with you, but everything is working. So I'm on the Bluetooth system, and I have everything hooked up to where it needs to be. So let's get you. That's better. I think it's better than that. I think it's better than that. Yeah, let's stay here for now. Okay, so well, first of all, so I'm holding my phone, right? Here's my phone, and everything is on. So if I go back to the sort of main control, you have power. And then you have your options, which is your interior light, your intelligent light, weapons, audio, and demo mode. Now, I think demo mode means that everything sort of fires up sequentially. But let me just get the interior light on first, which is the saucer. And you can see that's come on. And so there it is. So what I've done is I've put a ring of my SMD strip lighting just to be able to pick up these windows underneath, because that was one of my shopping list of complaints to myself about the previous build. I didn't have enough light in the saucer below. Curiously, with the plug and play set from Track Modeler, they just assume what it assumes, and correctly, by the way. So I don't want to disparage. This is not a knock on this system. It is what it is. But you realize that you're limited because it's all pre-wired. You are limited to what you can do, and you sort of hope that you can get enough bounce to make sure that everything is covered. I will say these acrylic windows from Laser Fire Creations do give you a lot of pop because they're so clear, and that's sort of good news and bad news. I may have to go around and diffuse a little bit if it's too twinkly. I don't know. We'll find out once everything is together. The other, the small complaint I have about this system, if you'll notice, when the saucer lights come on, the thruster lights come on, and there is no way to separate those. You don't have an option. So I guess in reality, your thrusters would be on, and you'd be spinning completely out of control. I don't know. But let me go back here to intelligent light just to make absolutely sure. No, I don't have it. I do not have an option to isolate my thrusters. Maybe I'll talk to Ralph about and see if I can beg him to add that, because it would be really fun if you could isolate your thrusters sort of, you know, north, south, east, west on the dish, so that obviously if it's maneuvering, you can play, you know, you can pretend it's maneuvering, and that would be fun. It also would be fun, I think, if you could fire them. So maybe, just maybe, you know, there is a way to do that on the second board I'm having Ralph make for me. I might have a conversation with him about that, because it might be fun to have them fire and then go off and not stay on all the time. But anyway, it does look fun when everything is lit up like a Christmas tree, and you know, in the night, at night, that's kind of cool. But it is one small issue I have with this lighting kit, and that's true of all of them, by the way. There's only so much you can do too. So let me be clear about that. You know, as Ralph was explaining to me with these boards, you know, at a certain point, if you can't, you know, you're sort of limited to what you can run through the board at the voltage that he's running it, and do everything. So you know, if you want more sort of toys to play with, I guess you're going to need a bigger board, to coin a phrase. Okay, let me get the navs on for you. So let me turn off. I can turn off interior light. Saucer lights come off, and then I can go to intelligent light and get my navs on. Oh, they were on. There you go. So as you can see, I've got my my white strobe in the front, and I've got my navs going. Now I would flip it over, only everything now is masked, so you wouldn't see anything. But I promise you, I've checked everything, and it's everything is working hunky-dory. But I wanted to sort of just show you everything hooked up, so that's fun. Let me turn it off, and it will eventually go off. There we go. Okay, I'm unplugging myself here, because I just want to make sure that I don't blow anything up or short anything, because I'm more than capable. Okay, so couple of other interesting things I just wanted to mention, and that is I did interestingly enough, early on, my green nav wasn't going on, so I did a little bit of troubleshooting and discovered that somewhere in my line, one of my wires has obviously, it's broken inside of its insulation, so it's shorting. It was shorting, because the light itself is actually working. Anyway, I managed to bridge that, and everything is fine and hunky-dory. So all I've got to do now is just do a little wire tidy here, and I am officially done with lighting the saucer. So we're going to, in a separate video, we're going to talk about joining everything together. I've got to sort of pre-test everything, and then I got to figure out where all my wiring is going. I've reduced everything to the best of my ability here, so I'm not going to have that many wires coming through the neck. So just a couple of things for this video. Earlier on in the video, I did quickly refer to, but I obviously fixed it. I did refer to the officers' lounge as the rec deck. I apologize for that. I know it's the officers' lounge, and I know where it's located, so I apologize for that. Sometimes the mouth is working, but the brain isn't. So I just wanted to clear that up. I do know the difference. And then the only other thing I wanted to say is that obviously I'm going to have to go around here, and I'm going to have to be super careful about each one of these pins here. Now these have paint on it at the moment. I'm going to have to go around and clean everything up and make sure everything is nice and clean, and that the saucer obviously sits down nicely all the way around before I attempt to glue it. And this time I'm going to use to glue mine down completely, I'm going to use a 5-minute epoxy, get that spread out nicely, and then I'm going to clamp everything up and let it dry overnight, and then obviously clean up anything that oozes out. But obviously what I will do is make sure I tape my sensor band very well so that anything that does ooze out is not going to ooze out onto my sensor bands. It can only come straight out, and it'll just make it easier for me to clean anything up. But I am going to be super careful about that, because the less cleanup, the better. Okay, so that concludes this update. And gets us through all of the wiring for the saucer. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we've got all the wiring in for the secondary hull. We've got all the wiring in for the saucer. And in the next update, we'll do the nacelles. And I think we'll even do a test fit of the various elements just to see where we are. And then we're down to cleaning it up and getting seams and clean up where we can, sanding, one more coat of primer on everything, make sure it's all super clean, and then we get to start painting. And I'm anxious to do that, but I'm also anxious to build something else. So I don't know whether the next update will be sequential to this. If you're rolling your eyes because you go, well, why not? I apologize. It's just sometimes the mojo goes, and if it goes, you don't want to keep going. You want to give it a break. But I'm thrilled to be doing this, and I feel like I'm really seeing light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm excited that this board is working the way it should. So everything is coming together really well. Okay, that's it. Thank you all for joining me again, and I appreciate each and every one of you and your comments. Please don't forget, if you want to reach out to me, you can leave a comment below. You can reach me, Spruverse@gmail, or you can follow my In the Weeds daily updates on whatever I'm doing on Instagram at Spruverse, when the teeth are working. But anyway, as always, please, I wish all of you be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.